Good morning to those in the US and good afternoon for those joining us from the EU. My name is Kate Quigley and I'm part of the product marketing team at Benchling, focused on our validated cloud solution. I will also be moderating today's presentation. Welcome. Benchling is excited to introduce you to Benchling Validated Cloud. It is an important addition to our life sciences R&D cloud, as we're now able to support work in applications requiring validated environments. In this webinar, we will share details of the solution that supports our mission to help companies accelerate across the life sciences product lifecycle. To do that, I'm joined by John Fan, Vice President of Product at Benchling. Good morning, John. Where are you joining us from?
Hey, good morning, Kate. I'm in Berkeley, California today.
Ah, wonderful. The home of CRISPR. Thanks for joining us. And Shruti, head of GXP compliance, is also joining us. Shruti, where are you joining from?
Hi, Kate. Morning. I'm joining from Dublin, California today.
Oh, wonderful. I hope you're having lovely weather.
Good weather outside, for sure.
To start us, I'll be framing the opportunity area that Benchling sees for improving how R&D teams collaborate. John will provide an overview of the validated cloud solution, and Shruti will discuss Benchling's compliance, validation, and security capabilities. Our primary goals of this webinar are, one, to ensure that both research and development teams attending the webinar have a rigorous initial understanding of Benchling's ability to support GXP use cases, and also to provide a means for those interested in learning more to do so. A quick housekeeping note. Feel free to submit questions in the Q&A bar on the right-hand side of this panel for answering after the presentation. During the presentation, you can also upvote any questions already submitted that are of interest to you and would like to have answered. Please note that attendees may also learn more during the conversation by clicking on the More Info tab at the top of your screen. First, a word about Benchling overall. Benchling was founded in 2012 by a team of scientists and engineers at MIT who were frustrated by the poor quality of software they had available to support their science. Today, with over 400,000 users across the globe, Benchling is now a widely adopted cloud solution that gives users and management a 360-degree view of R&D innovation. We offer 7 integrated applications in a single interface, and these applications span the R&D process from experimental design, in silico biology, sample tracking, and process management. These applications are built on a common platform and configurable data model to support each team's unique requirements. We're fortunate to work with over 400 innovative life sciences, many of them represented here today, including many of the world's largest enterprises as well. We are used across agriculture and food science, industrial biotech, and biopharma. These companies are making incredible discoveries and innovation, and our team is proud to be able to support them. We want to also share a framing of why we extended into support for validated use cases as part of our ongoing evolution. Moving IP from scientific discovery through development to launching as a product and market has always been a significant undertaking. In particular, the gap between research and development work that has traditionally been done in silos has caused significantly greater rates of product delays and failure across early and late-stage development phases. This gap is due to many technical and structural factors. We've observed that research teams often conduct the earliest phases of discovery with latitude for researchers to work more independently, conducting hypothesis-driven experiments and screening. However, when the central IP is handed over to development teams, the work objectives shift focus to production traceability, control, and ultimately seamless scalability. These disconnected goals, that of research and separately of development, become apparent during the tech transfer between the teams. At the same time, the handoff is no longer unidirectional. Creating new products is often now more iterative across R&D with a flywheel up and downstream. Each period of tech transfer also highlights differences in software use, which impacts how data is captured and organized, how workflows get conducted, and how performance is measured. And most legacy software systems were not designed to do work across R&D phases. For example, electronic lab notebooks were initially developed around an electronic paper-on-glass version of a notebook designed to simply document experiments being conducted. As such, most ELNs lack the ability to capture structured data around sample and processes in a way that persists through R&D phases. As modern life sciences products have become much more complex, the processes used to discover and develop them need to remain in context throughout their entire life cycle. And then on the other hand, LIMS are sample-centric and protocol-driven without support for ad hoc experimentation, unstructured data, or the context of samples flowing into testing protocols other than their immediate provenance. When these different phases are supported by two totally different types of legacy technologies, you can see how this process would increase friction. IT teams may also struggle to maintain multiple applications that require extensive integration, or in many cases, remain siloed from each other altogether. As a proof point for the theme of why R&D must work together in the biopharmaceutical industry in particular, we can look to the growing requirements for filing an IND with regulatory bodies. Today, a collective R&D team must be prepared for the earlier conversations with the regulatory bodies prior to filing in a now dialogue-driven relationship. Because many of these therapies are complex, novel therapeutic products, the data to collect and analyze is also multitudes more complex. Whereas data packages for IND filings historically had separate sections for the molecular data and the process or CMC data, today, these are now a required integrated analysis package. In modern drug discovery and life sciences, it's clear that a new approach is needed to accelerate the R&D product lifecycle. Benchling sees that the transition from discovery into and through development presents a unique opportunity for acceleration across all phases. Companies that anticipate how the nature of work changes will be more able to transfer key insights, data, and process across these phases. This increased efficiency and efficacy of cross-disciplinary teams sharing key product insights will be able to speed up overall pace towards milestone attainments. By working collaboratively, R&D teams can focus collectively on repeatability and scalability. In the end, shared knowledge is essential to accelerate time to market. And with that context, I want to bring John back up on stage to talk about Benchling Validated Cloud and how this solution provides an opportunity to more tightly connect R&D phases.
Great, thanks, Kate. Benchling Validated Cloud represents a great extension for our products into development environments. For some additional context, I wanted to touch on some of our guiding principles about how we think about building products before I dive into the details of Validated Cloud. In everything we do, we build on a common platform and deliver it as a single software interface. We do this so we can build a unified informatics backbone with sample and process intelligence. So let's talk about how Benchling Validated Cloud is built from those principles. We've taken Benchling and what we provide as a unified solution, and we've extended it to operate in validated environments. Our existing harmonized data model and structured queryable data enables you to manage biological registration, data collection, and generate structured insights. A single unified platform helps teams work better together by coordinating work across teams, bringing visibility to critical operational resources, program management, and scientific insights. But operating in a validated environment requires an additional set of capabilities and method of delivery, which is what we've incorporated into this offering. We've created an isolated group of tenants with more direct control to how we manage the product release process. We've taken our existing functionality around security and compliance and continued to add to them, giving you the visibility and control needed to operate under strictly regulated conditions. And finally, we have dedicated teams for validation and quality who work with our product development and security teams to make sure Validated Cloud can stand up to the highest expectations of both our customers and regulatory bodies. So with that, let's take a closer look into these aspects of Validated Cloud. Validated Cloud allows you to use core Benchling capabilities in a dedicated tenant, giving you the compliance of a controlled environment while still being able to take advantage of the speed and innovation of a cloud application. Our Validated Cloud releases on a quarterly basis for greater control over upgrades, with additional mechanisms in there to ensure that the Benchling environment can be carefully controlled. There's a preview period before that upgrade to validate the quarterly upgrade before you take that into live into production. We share a release impact assessment that describes the changes in each upgrade and the relative GXP posture risk for each of those changes. Changes deemed to have a larger potential impact will be delivered disabled, and customers can choose when and if they want to enable them. Next, within the application itself, Benchling continues to offer granular controls to help ensure compliance. We provide signatures aligned with 21 CFR Part 11 guidance. There's an extensive audit trail and versioning of all entries, both in-app and exportable to other tools. And we have fine-grained controls for user access and permissions. The process around validating a cloud environment and maintaining that on a quarterly basis can be daunting as well. So with each quarterly product release, Benchling releases an installation qualification and an operational qualification, or IQ and OQ, results package that assists our customers with maintaining their process and system validation. Our professional services and managed services teams are also available to help with implementation of Benchling in the validated environment and to provide support for those quarterly releases. Both of these teams are able to leverage scientific knowledge and extensive implementation experience to streamline your implementation and change management with Benchling. So that's a high-level look at Benchling Validated Cloud. But to deep dive a bit more, one question I often hear is about what are the details of this quarterly release process and how it all works. So as you look at this slide, you can see our validated environments and the associated upgrade schedule on the left and right, respectively. In these environments, of course, we know that change control is critical and we plan accordingly. So for Validated Cloud, we change our product release process from a continuous cloud release to a quarterly cadence with a 4-week preview window to validate before the production environment is upgraded. In the diagram on the left, you can see the quarterly release from our code base going first to the preview tenant. At that point, we run IQ and OQ verification. You can then run your performance qualification and user acceptance testing, or PQ and UAT, against that preview environment, and also make decisions on if you want to enable the new feature in that release. With completed IQ and OQ verification and PQ UAT, then the production environment is upgraded. On the right, you can see how that release process works against the scheduled release. I won't go into all of the details here, but to give you a sense of how we execute the release on a quarterly interval and how that timing works together. Ultimately, our goal is to make the validation process as seamless as possible with reduced burden from your quality and IT teams and taking advantage of our ability to automate as much of the process as possible, as is common with modern cloud SaaS. We also have many features that assist in the configuration and execution of a validated environment. Rather than go through all of them right now, I thought we could take a quick look at just a few of them, and our team can obviously share more in a demo with you as well. First, we can talk about electronic signatures and approvals. As I mentioned earlier, we provide for 21 CFR Part 11 compliant approvals in Benchling. Within our notebook entries, electronic signatures are required when submitting an entry for review, approval, retraction, re-review, and rejection. You can see in the screenshot here, the prompt for user ID and password, along with a comment on a re-review action. More broadly, there's space to include comments, and those are required for any retraction or rejection of entries. Those e-signed actions are permanently linked to the entry's audit trail, which are visible in the entry and also as part of the audit log. You can see a summary screenshot of that here. Electronic approvals track the signer name, timestamp, and approval. They become non-editable or locked upon approval and will remain that way unless retracted, which would trigger another entry in the log. The ability to approve or retract is also a permission that is provided within the product. And notebook entries are versioned and have overall granular permissions for access. The contents of an entry are accessible and exportable in human readable format. And then finally, Benchling has a comprehensive audit trail across all of your processes, including audit log option for objects in Benchling, both in-app and in exportable logs, as we're showing here in these screenshots. The logs record and show the key attributes of each action, users and timestamp, the item involved and action taken, as well as additional metadata about that action itself. So that's just a quick view at some of the current features in the product that support a validated environment. But we're also continuing to build and expand on product capabilities to support process development. And I thought I'd highlight a few of those areas here for us today. First, we're continuing to provide capabilities that will allow for a more controlled execution and review of process steps. You can think of this as creating more rigid structure around what end users can edit and interact with in the Benchling interface, while preserving your ability to flexibly configure and adjust that process. Another thing we've heard from many of you is the need to bring data into Benchling or out of Benchling into an overall ecosystem of validated products. These could be your own quality management system or batch record system or an ERP you're using. We're continuing to invest both in out-of-the-box integrations with those systems, as well as extensible building blocks in our developer platform. The former can help you with off-the-shelf software integrations, but equally important, and what we found is your IT ecosystems likely include homegrown systems or other things that where it's easier to have a developer platform that you can easily extend Benchling to connect with those systems. So as I close out my section, I wanted to recap a few key points. First, we're continuing to extend Benchling in a unified fashion from discovery to development, enabling those teams to share data models and collaborate together more seamlessly. Second, this extension allows you to take advantage of our capabilities for structuring data and execution across discovery and development. And then finally, and I would say probably most importantly for a validated environment, we provide you with more control over what features you enable during and after upgrades and how you configure the product. This control is a part of the overall set of compliance, validation, and security we provide in Benchling. So let me bring Shruti on to talk a little bit more in detail about our approach in these areas.
Thank you, John. I would like to start with giving an overview of the compliance framework we follow at Benchling. Benchling is built for compliance with Part 11 and Annex 11 regulations. Our product validation follows industry standard GAMP methodology for computerized systems. Our internal quality management system and processes are established to align with ISO 9001 and ICH guidelines. We manage an information security management system that meets ISO 27001 requirements, and we maintain an active ISO 27001 certification. We are committed to protecting customer information, and we undergo routine audits by independent third parties to verify compliance with globally recognized quality, security, and data privacy standards. We put security and compliance at the forefront of everything we do. We support hundreds of enterprises where data integrity, security, and control is mission critical, including top global agri-science, biotech, and biopharma companies. We think about compliance at every level of our business, from having well-established procedures around the company's key process areas to how we develop and release product enhancements. From how we classify data at the highest level of confidentiality to building application-level controls around auditing, authentication, and permissioning as part of product compliance. Our security model is designed to protect customer data against internal and external threats, and we make sure that we can be trusted guardians of core IP. We strive to be transparent in all these processes and in our applications, so you can feel confident in knowing how Benchling manages and protects your data. With all of this put together, we provide a solid foundation required for using Benchling as a validated system in a GXP environment. With that, let's get into what validation of a GXP system means in the cloud and see how, as a SaaS vendor, we can support your company to meet regulatory obligations. Similar to traditional on-prem systems, when operating in a cloud environment, our customers have the responsibility of ensuring that the system of records they use for collecting, processing GXP data is validated. Regardless of the software application or platform that is being used, FDA does not directly audit any software vendor. As the business owner, you are required to ensure that your system is validated in accordance with the regulatory landscape aligned to the industry vertical that your business supports. With our validated cloud offering, we maintain a high standard of regulatory compliance internally, and provide supporting documentation that would help you significantly reduce the validation burden on your end. Let's dive a little deeper on how we support this, and we will start at the bottom of the V model that you can see in this slide. Benchling is hosted on Amazon Web Services, an industry-leading cloud infrastructure provider, which in itself is compliant with ISO 27001, SOC 2 Type 2, and numerous other standards. Additionally, we follow well-defined procedures to operate and maintain our infrastructure in a secure and qualified state. Our software development processes require that every change commit is verified in development and test environments prior to being pushed to production. Extensive QA ensures that product changes are tested using a comprehensive set of automated functional and regression tests that are executed as part of the software development lifecycle. Our product features and functions are documented in a set of functional requirement specifications that are kept updated for each release to reflect the current state of the system. Functional validation tests are executed and traced back to the requirements, providing a full test traceability of all features in the product. Validation scripts are updated and re-executed prior to each release to maintain the validated state. We develop and maintain a full set of validation deliverables that can be leveraged, thus allowing you to limit your activities to intended use configuration and validation thereof. Furthermore, in support of giving you the ability to plan, assess, and manage changes to your validated system, we provide you with a release impact assessment document that is published on a quarterly cadence 4 weeks prior to the planned production upgrade date. This document provides a listing of all enhancements that are part of the upcoming release, along with a GXP risk rating, as well as the corresponding feature enablement setting at the time of the release. The GXP risk analysis takes into account data integrity, security, confidentiality, and consumer safety. This document also details the default user impact of the feature at the time of the initial release. We want your company to be successful throughout your time using Benchling and across all phases of system implementation and use. So let's take a look at some of the services we provide in support of this. Our process starts with discovery and evaluation. Our team of scientific and technical consultants will take the time to understand both your business and regulatory needs. Once you sign up to use Benchling, our professional services team will begin the implementation process. Here, they utilize their deep industry knowledge combined with a track record of hundreds of successful implementations. They leverage Benchling's codeless configuration options to prototype quickly and build solutions to meet your specific needs. Our implementation follows a well-defined project management methodology designed to ensure quality gates are being met. We have a dedicated GXP compliance team that is available to support any validation, audit, and inspection requests. Our managed services team can help you stay on top of the release process and change management for ongoing product upgrades. With that, let me hand it back over to Kate, who will be sharing a few more resources on how you can learn more about our validated cloud offering.
Great. Thank you, Shruti. With that, we've wrapped up the presentation portion of the webinar. Before we move into Q&A, I want to highlight again the link at the top of your screen as a means to access more information about Benchling Validated Cloud.